Welcome back to ARC Salt Lake. Time right now is 7:29. Prosecutors have described this case as a parent's worst nightmare as more details continue to emerge surrounding the death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas, who was last seen connected to singer David. While investigators are still working to determine the exact weapon used, an autopsy report confirms the teen died from multiple penetrating injuries. Joining us now, we have investigative reporter Anne Emerson from Criminally Obsessed to break down the latest developments in this case. Good morning, Anne. Thanks for being here.
Good morning, Lincoln. Yeah, this case is super disturbing. It's one of the worst.
Multiple penetrating injuries. I think most people would assume stab wounds of some kind.
That's what they're saying, yeah. And they say that, there's particularly 2 wounds that they're looking at on the body. There were other cuts on her body, but there was 2 that looked like knife wounds, and they're charging him in special circumstances in a capital murder case. And we're talking about David, the singer, David Anthony Burke is his name, and they're charging him with the possession of a personal weapon, of a dangerous weapon, and that it was a sharp instrument. So we've actually talked to forensic scientists and who could describe to us these wounds that you see on the body, and they are very specific to how she would have been murdered.
Mm-hmm. Where are we at in terms of where we're going to be seeing court proceedings, seeing him in court again, basically?
We're going to see him supposedly on May 1st. That's going to be his preliminary hearing. Now, David has already said, pleaded not guilty, that he's going to defend vigorously. I mean, the charges are extraordinary the way they laid him out. This is a young 14-year-old girl that not only is he being charged with a continuous charge of sexual assault against this girl or sexual abuse, they have also, charged him with her murder, and that included dismemberment of her body. So, I mean, it's just, the whole thing is just horrific. I mean, the prosecutors are saying that they've got also ample evidence of child pornography that was found on his cell phone, and they are right now in the process of handing over discovery. And when I'm talking about discovery, we're talking about 40 terabytes of discovery. And of course, because he was a musician, there's a lot of video and pictures and that sort of thing that they're saying is kind of part of this 40 terabytes worth of evidence that they're handing over for both sides to look at, which is what they do during discovery. But, one of the major important parts of this case is the very disturbing videos that he had 3 years prior to her death. In particular, a song called Romantic Homicide, and we've been looking at it very closely of, is this an example of him allegedly, life imitating art as the suspect? Is that what they're going to be looking at as a prosecution? Is this part of what his world was about? And it's just incredibly disturbing.
Yeah, does that mean we could be seeing his music potentially used as evidence, I guess, in this case?
100%. Lincoln, I mean, when you look at these videos, absolutely this is going to be part of the prosecution. But having said that, see, yeah, you're looking at it right now. I mean, these are videos that literally show the homicide of an intimate partner, and there's another video that actually shows him very, very similar, dragging himself, which is the body, into the back of the trunk of a car, which is incredibly symbolic, as you know, this case, because Celeste Rivas Hernandez, this beautiful little 14-year-old girl who was found murdered, she was found in the front trunk of a car registered to David, which was a Tesla. So yeah, you can see, I mean, the imagery here is just astounding. We actually sat down with a forensic psychologist yesterday that spends a lot of time in criminal cases, Dr. Della Torre, to try and understand this a little bit better. And I'll tell you, in the episode that will be airing, this evening, it really talks about that this is not necessarily a psychopathy, but that we're looking at a very young suspect who is also just turned 21 in March. So there's of course, going to be a lot of questions about the mental state of this suspect, of this defendant.
And do we know of any type of financial exchange between Celeste's parents and David? What do we know about that?
Well, what I know is that I don't know of any. They have not. I have not seen any evidence at all of anything like that. What I have seen is that they were missing their little girl for a year before she was last seen going into David's Hollywood Hills home, April 23rd, 2025. That they had reported her missing and had basically run away a year before that, in April 2024. So this is a family that is grieving deeply right now, incredibly devastated that this is the outcome. As you said at the beginning, this is every parent's worst nightmare. And right now that is absolutely what they're dealing with.
And we've talked about this before. I want to ask you one more time. Her body was discovered in September, I believe, of last year.
That's right.
Just the length of time it took to get these charges, because David actually performed in Salt Lake City right around the time her body was discovered, and it was already in the headlines that a body had been discovered in his car, and it took months and months for this to happen.
It did. Well, you've got this whole period that the prosecution's going to have to lay out. And from the experts we talked to, it was incredibly difficult to get that forensic timeline in the first place. That's one of the reasons they said that they really needed to hold off before they filed these charges. Also, Lincoln, though, we're talking 3 grand juries, we're told, were conveyed to try and convene to try and set up these indictments. The indictments are very specific. We're looking at a first-degree capital murder charge. They've still got to decide if this is going to be a death penalty case. They're looking at the murder of a witness, which would be Celeste Rivas Hernandez, the victim here, as well. We're looking because she would have, according to the prosecutors, outed him for their relationship. For financial gain, because it was going to affect his musical career, for lying in wait, which, the idea that he had, this premeditation of lying in wait, these charges are very specific, and I do think it helps them set up a timeline for what happened.
Okay. Anne Emerson, thank you so much. I know there's a lot more to learn about this case. We will be in touch with you to learn more. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.
All right, Anne is the investigative reporter for Criminally Obsessed, our new true crime team. If you're one of those people who listens to true crime all the time, you'll want to check out her daily show on YouTube. She has some of the most fascinating deep dives on the stories everyone's talking about. You can click on the QR code on your screen right there, and you will find Anne's interviews. You can